about the witness and consciousness, because that's actually who you are, is consciousness, but it's invisible, so you can't see yourself. And so we forget that that's there, and we get identified with our personality, with our body, with our emotions, with our thoughts, with all the activities that we have going on, our situations that we find ourselves in, and completely forget that there is a underlying stillness there. And so and that stillness, consciousness has a listening quality to it. So when you practice the attributes of consciousness, that helps you more and more identify with it. So it's not like just meditation only, but that consciousness is there in every moment of the day. So when you listen to somebody, that puts you in touch with it. When even like the eye gazing that we do, that puts you in touch with it, helps you just pause and be like, hey, there's an underlying something here. Things are not necessarily as they appear. So all these practices are ways to just, because we need constant reminder. I mean, if you only do yoga nidra even once a day, that's not enough reminder. I mean, but if you're listening, if you're just being aware of, I mean, a lot of you, even a little bit that you practice has some pretty big insights, you know? So all of this just helps anchor you more and more in the truth of who you are, because it's that consciousness that is the healer. So I gave you this little ocean and wave analogy. The ocean is this stillness, always present, and then consciousness begins to have a little bit of movement and becomes more and more dense until it manifests in physical form, which is your body. And this isn't just your body. This is really like the whole body-mind complex. Your thoughts, your emotions, your physical body that you can see and touch, is all of that. And so, excuse me, I'm recovering from, I'm much better, but I've got residual big phlegm from being sick earlier in the week. And I had given the analogy where you have this, in yoga, this manifests with different, the movement of consciousness begins, and we have a layer that's known as the bliss layer in yoga. So this is down here is just your ocean. Begins to move and become a little bit dense, and you have a bliss layer, becomes a little bit more dense, and you have a wisdom layer, which could be, it's like your intuition, it's your knowing. It doesn't mean it's always correct knowing, because it is influenced by some stuff in this layer, which I'm not going to go into today, but it's like you know something. And then you have an even more dense layer, and this is your mental layer, all the thoughts in your mind, and they can just be random fleeting thoughts. They don't necessarily, sometimes they have meaning to them, sometimes they don't, but they're just all the random thoughts that go through. And so that's that layer, your mental layer. And then you have an energy layer. So that's how you feel. It's the sensations that you experience in the body. Some people can see auras, and you know, your energy layer will have a color to it, but I don't see that. Most people can't. Some can. So you have an energy layer. So this is all just consciousness is moving into more and more dense form, and then it moves into this physical form, which includes all of this: your thoughts, your knowing, your feeling, the sensations, the energy, the physical. It includes all of this. This layer right here, closest to consciousness, is your beliefs. That's where they're held. And that is what forms the personality, the mind-body complex. So that's kind of where we left off last week. These waves they're all, people are all different sizes and shapes, all different bodies. Plus you have, you have the body of a butterfly, that's one of the forms. Maybe you have a snake is another form. A cat, all kinds of forms. A rock, this room, those flowers. These waves are also your thoughts, your emotions. So these are all different forms. Underlying all these different forms is a stillness, a consciousness. So these are made up of this, even though they all look so different. Does that make sense so far? So underlying the multitudes of variety is a oneness. And now, so that's why the form can connect you to the oneness. But here's what we do. Here is how we separate ourselves from our own being. Because we have our own personal beliefs about ourselves, about life, about other people, that affects how we experience our own body, how we experience all these other forms that are coming and going. So, for example, all these forms, like a butterfly, is actually the sensation that you feel in your body that your belief will then decide, oh, I like the butterfly, they're beautiful. The sensation you feel in your body is what makes you decide, I don't like a snake. It's not because of the form itself, it's because of what you're feeling in your body. So somebody you might really like being in their company because they make you feel good. Somebody else you might not like being in their company because you don't feel so good around that person. So it's actually our relationship to sensation and our belief about what we're feeling that determines how we experience all these different forms. So you might go to a form called a movie and have an experience of going to a movie. And you bring a friend with you. So you both see the exact same movie. And you really loved it, and your friend thought it was okay. They don't like it so much. Has that ever happened to anybody? Like, you all the time, right? Because you have your beliefs, and they have their beliefs. And everything you experience in life is through the filter of your beliefs. And that's what keeps you from knowing that you are consciousness, that you are being, because you experience everything through your belief. And this is the human nature, the human way of things. So it's not like it's wrong to do that. It's just what happens. Our beliefs are what creates the separation from the healer that you are. So I'm going to use the same analogy.
So,
Yeah, go ahead, Soil.
So the beliefs, not in any one layer, is that right? Or are they in any particular layer?
They are. I don't want to go into that tonight, though.
Okay.
I'll
wait.
The beliefs are held in a layer, and all the layers affect each other. So your whole body-mind is affected by everything. I'll answer your question that way. Okay. So the world of form, all these different forms, thoughts, emotions, butterfly, snake, coworker that you like, coworker that you don't like, all of that, all these different forms, they're all coming and going. They'll come into form, they'll live for a while, and then they go away, dissipate. So you can think of this as I'm just gonna draw like a tube up here. All these forms are coming and going, like waves. They're all passing through your mind-body complex as energy, because everything is made up of energy. Einstein's already proven that. Everything, the tree is made up of energy, Michael's body is made up of energy, this whiteboard, you look at anything under an electron microscope, it's all a bunch of molecules and atoms moving around, it's all energy. So energy is flowing, forms are coming in, moving through, going out, until you have a little belief that determines, oh, I don't like this particular form. So you resist it. You decide, I don't like this. I don't like this coworker that I've just been assigned a project to. I don't like the snake that's just crossing my path. Whatever it is, the energy's flowing and you'll feel it. The resistance, you'll feel like a tightening or a clenching down, or you'll tend to feel it in your body, right? I mean, there'll be some kind of like density somewhere in the body that you'll feel, like a contraction or something. And so now this energy can't move through. It hits this wall of resistance, and it's kind of like a wave that crashes into a seawall. It'll backsplash on itself. So it can't move through, there's resistance, and it's backsplashing. And it'll keep backsplashing and getting dense. And so now you don't have as much energy because it can't flow through the body-mind. It's getting stuck in the body-mind, either stuck in the psyche. You might have, so an example of something getting stuck in the psyche. So you have a conversation with somebody, it doesn't go very well. They insult you and you're really upset about it, and so what do? You go home and you replay the conversation in your mind. I can't believe they said that. Oh my God, what were they thinking? Or I should have done this, I should have done that. Next day comes and, oh, that conversation, I can't believe that person did this and said that. A week later, oh my God, I keep it, it's like you just over and over and over. This energy isn't going anywhere. It's just getting denser and denser and denser. So this also is what creates our reality. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you two examples. So one is, say that when you were young, your father left you. And so you have you feel like, okay, men leave me. That's what that gets translated in. You get a belief gets formed, something happened in your life, your father left you, and now you have this belief that men won't stick around for me. I can't trust men. They won't help me and see me, through the end. They always leave. And so you see the world through this belief. So, for example, like say you're 30 now, and you're in a new relationship, this guy is wonderful, but you still have this belief of men, they leave. So you guys, you move in together, and then after a month, he comes home and says, I'm gonna go out with the guys tonight. I haven't hung with the guys in a while, and I just really need some guy time. I'm gonna hang out with the guys. But you have a belief here, men leave me. And so he just says this comment, and you're like, I can't believe you want to go out with the guys. I mean, I was gonna make your favorite dinner tonight, and where we're gonna I really wanted to have some time this evening. I can't believe you're thinking you want to go out with the guys. And so then he's like, oh well, okay, so he appeases you. He doesn't go out with the guys, but you know, a week goes by. He's like, he's missing his guy friends. He's like, I'm gonna go out with the guys this time, and you're like, so this belief is causing you to act in a way that perpetuates its own belief system. Eventually, your boyfriend does leave you because his choice is either to be only seeing you and never see his guy friends, or, you know, he's gonna have to leave you. And so your actions caused from this belief actually created the situation to happen and your boyfriend to leave you. And now you can say, see, guys never stay with me. So you see how these beliefs, I mean, they kind of like perpetuate a cycle that creates their own reality. Another thing that happens, I'll tell you, this is something that happened to me in the 2nd grade. I had, so some core beliefs that a lot of humans have is I'm not good enough. And so we compensate for that by overdoing, overachieving. That's one way. Or you compensate for it by I'm not even going to try because if I try, I'll fail, and I don't want to fail. So that's kind of two opposite ways that will show up. Another core belief is life isn't safe. So I have both of those actually. So the 2nd grade incident is from life isn't safe. So I am in 2nd grade math class. And energy is moving through my body-mind complex in 2nd grade math class. Everything's going fine. I'm working. They were dittos then. Do y'all remember those ditto papers? I loved how they smelled. That purple ink. Was like So anyhow, I was working on a math ditto, and I'm fine. Nothing's going on. All of a sudden, the teacher grabs some little boy out of his chair, puts him in the corner, yells at him repeatedly, and whips him with the ruler. I have no idea why that was happening. I have a belief life isn't safe. So I'm terrified that I'm going to be next because I don't know why this is happening. So now, energy that was flowing through, a situation happens, I can't deal with it, so I stop it from flowing. I resist it. I actually remember holding my breath through most of that math class, trying to make myself invisible so that the teacher wouldn't see me and put me in the corner next. So we have these experiences that happen in life that we aren't allowing ourselves to feel or to be with, and we shut it down. And that keeps the energy from flowing, it backsplashes, and it gets more and more dense. Now, energy wants to flow. It's actually always trying to flow towards source, towards consciousness. But it can't because I've shut it down. I won't allow myself to feel this. I won't allow myself to experience it because life is not safe. That's my belief. Because it wants to flow, it's like life is like a debit card. It'll say, okay, you don't have to experience this right now. You can shut down and not feel this. But every experience or situation that at all resembles this situation that I have shut down is going to trigger this belief system. So guess what? 3rd grade math class comes around. Different teacher. I shut down in math. It's hard for me to do math, hear what the teacher has to say, because it's like there's just an automatic shutdown because this math, being in a math class, resembles the original situation that I couldn't handle. 4th grade math, same thing. 5th grade math, same thing. I studied my butt off in math class, got help every night from my dad, my parents drove me every morning to get help from the teacher. I only got C's, and a lot of those C's was because the teacher felt sorry for me because she knew how hard I was working. But I couldn't help myself. I shut down. Math would shut me down because it was re-triggering an experience from the past that I was not able to experience. So life will be like, okay, you don't have to experience it now. You can experience it later. So that is why people will get out of a bad relationship, but then they'll get into another bad relationship because it's this that's wanting to be resolved, wants to be free. So this is created from a belief, and it wants to flow through because energy form arose from source, from consciousness, and is always wanting to move back. Everything's always arising, staying for a little while, and then it merges back into source. Everything. A thought will pop up in your mind, it might stay for a bit, at some point it goes away, merges back into the source where it came from. Your body, it's born, it's going to live for a period of time, and then at some point it's going to merge back into the source where it came from. Energy is form, and it's always arising, staying for a period of time, and merging back into source. So it wants to flow, but I'm not letting it because I've resisted it. So here is the key. The key is to actually go into the very thing that you've avoided or that you don't want to experience. So what I would do is I would do math, and I'd have to like focus on my breath, relax with the math, and start to, as I started to relax, this breaks down this wall of resistance, and now the energy can start to move through some of the cracks that I'm now creating in my wall of resistance by relaxing into the very thing that I'm resisting. So if it's a coworker, for example, or a family member that triggers you, meaning you don't want to experience being with this person, be with a person and consciously relax with it. And that breaks down the wall of resistance so that this can move through. And then this gets less and less dense as it moves through. And eventually, you will be able to, that person will say what they always say, they maybe do what they always do, but it won't affect you anymore. Because you've removed this by removing this, and so now it's flowing through. I mean, it's like magic when you start to practice this yourself, because there'll be things that will bother you your whole life long, and then when you apply the process of relaxing, and I'll tell you specifically the formula for relaxing into it, you remove the belief that created it. I mean, my belief of life is not safe and my other belief of I'm not good enough is so much smaller and thinner than ever. I mean, there's things I'm doing that I never could have done in the past. There's, from all kinds of things, whether it's, just being more relaxed, I don't have to prove that I am good enough so much anymore, to, that I feel life is safe. I mean, life is actually even fun. Life never used to be that much fun for me because I'm always like trying to be safe in life and control things and be in life in a way that I feel okay, that I feel safe. So it's like as these beliefs get thinner, you become more free and you become more connected to the source that you are, because it's these beliefs that keep you from recognizing the source that you are.
Aren't those the resistance, though? Isn't that like when you're in second grade?
Mm-hmm.
So your third, fourth, fifth grade, I mean, ain't that in your subconscious, like where you just, like when you were in the other grades, you probably just figured, I'm bad at math.
Right.
Not knowing that you had a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You're not actually bad at math, you were just it's like you're subconscious, so you don't even know that you have a problem,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's subconscious.
Right.
And so like the boyfriend resistance thing, you don't, like
Mm-hmm.
it's in your subconscious, it may be hard to fix because you don't realize that you even
Right.
have that. You just act that way, you don't
Mm-hmm.
realize you're acting that way because, you
Right.
know what I'm saying?
I
So
do.
it's like it's hidden.
It is hidden. It's unconscious. And so the beauty of this method is that you do not have to know what your belief is. You don't even have to, because what you do know is that you're uncomfortable around this person. Or what you do know is that you're angry or that you're frustrated. Something happened and you're frustrated. That you know, and that's all you have to know. Because the process will take care of the underlying unconscious belief behind the frustration, behind the grief, behind whatever it is. Life is meant to be a felt experience, and so when you relax with your frustration, with your grief, whatever it is, you're feeling it. So the formula to break through these beliefs without having to know what they are, your breath. The breath is like the master key in helping you relax and allow things to be. So to breathe, the other one is to feel. That's the part that's challenging because it's not easy to feel this. Like if you're frustrated, if you're sad, if you feel lonely, you feel scared, you don't want to feel it. I mean, you do want to feel it to be free of it, but that's not where your psyche is going to want to take you. It's going to want you to avoid it, but the freedom is going through it. And so, as you allow yourself to feel the loneliness, to feel the frustration, and you're breathing to relax in the midst of it, that starts to break this down. The third thing is a three-part formula, and that's to witness. That's why I started last week that whole class of you are the witness, you are consciousness. You have to know that you're not this. You have to know that you're this so that you go on it, go to it, so that you rely on it. So you're observing what you're feeling as you feel it, and you're breathing. That's like the magic formula, those three things. Next week I'll specifically tell you more about why that's the magic formula and why that specifically balances the body and the mind-body system. But for now, what I want you to know is that energy is always moving, and we block it by not wanting to feel it, because energy manifests as sensation. So when you see a snake, there's a sensation. The mind comes in and labels, snake! I don't want to feel that. That's coming from the mind. From the body, there's just pure sensation. Maybe it's like a tightening in the gut sensation. Maybe it's like a closing off in the throat sensation. But there's a sensation in the body because that's how energy manifests, as sensation. And so when you feel it, you are connecting with the energy. When you breathe, you're relaxing into the energy, into the density that's been created from a belief. And when you witness it, it helps you feel it and relax with it, because you know you're not it. You're not the loneliness. You're not the sadness. You're not the frustration. You're the one that's just having an experience. And so because you know that, even if you only know it conceptually, it helps you do these other two things. And it provides more and more space, because who you are, consciousness is space, it's spaciousness, it's that listening, it's the silence, it's the container for everything. So it provides the space for you to not get so caught up and sucked into the experience. It like gives you a little bit of distance from it, so that you can relax with the loneliness, you can relax with the fear, you can relax with whatever it is that's occurring. And then it frees you of this, and it flows to source, and you have more recognition of who you really are, which is not your personality or your beliefs. Makes sense? We'll take a few questions, and then we're going to have an experience. We're going to do some yoga therapy. All right. So how about you just try this out for yourself? So yoga poses help, or can act as a trigger for the, they just act as a trigger. So you'll feel sensation, and you'll throw out resistance, and then I'm gonna guide you to relax into it, to breathe with it, and to just watch it. So we're gonna do several poses that are held for a long period of time, so you can really get in there and investigate what is here to feel, and start to relax with it, and see for yourself how energy moves and clears. Okay, Nina?
So, is it the belief shapes the rest of the layers? Would it be right to say that? Like your belief that I'm not good in math, that affects your consciousness, the thought.
It affects everything. So like somebody that has the belief, I'm not good enough, it'll typically show up in two ways in the body. Kind of hunched and downcast a lot, or the extreme opposite. I've got this. No one can mess with me. I'm better than you. Because I gotta prove that I'm better than you. So it's kind of like fake it till you make it. And so they'll have like their shoulders thrown back, their chest sticking out, and they'll be walking around like, you know. So it shows up in those two opposite ways. They look very different, but they're from the same belief. That's why like a bully, someone that's a bully, very low self-esteem. They don't think much of themselves. But they have to be a bully so that they can prove to themselves that they're dominant, that they're good enough. And that's why there's always, every bully, every perpetrator has a victim. They attract each other because they are actually coming from the same belief. And that's what's so difficult, because they look so different. So it seems like, oh, like just the perpetrator is the bad person or whatever, and look what they're doing. The victim has attracted the perpetrator, and the perpetrator has attracted the victim, because it's like opposite sides of the same pole, magnets. They come together. So.
But they actually have the same problem.
They have the same problem. Same problem. The same belief system. It's just showing up in two opposite ways, but it's the same belief system.
So would it be right to say that belief is in the subconscious, and then
it's unconscious?
I mean, below all these layers, and that's how it.
Yeah, the belief is unconscious typically. When it becomes into the conscious, it's on its way out. Because the consciousness is the light that burns the belief. It's like putting it under the magnifying glass, and you're shining the light of consciousness on it. It's going to burn it off. That's why the witness is part of this formula. Consciousness, energy, relax with it. Okay, so we're going to experience it in some yoga therapy postures. So, you're going to need to spread your mat out, and we're not using the wall, so you could just be anywhere in the room where you can have your full mat out. We're gonna use, Keely, will you pass out, everybody's gonna need one block, and, also, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let's give everybody a cushion as well, and if there's not enough cushions, then it's extra point. We should get a cushion? Yeah, just one cushion or one bolster, it doesn't matter which. And we're done with this. I'm gonna take my phone back.
Okay.